Did you see this on the news? The national Christmas tree fell down this week at the White House. Yeah. I mean, isn't it sad that even the tree won't stand for the Biden administration? There you go. It's almost just like Joe Biden, he falls over. The tree, it falls over. What's next? I don't know. Oh, man. Hey, we're just over 6 weeks from the Iowa caucuses, which is the first volley in the 2024 presidential race. And for the first time, the Democrats are not holding caucuses in Iowa. It is Joe Biden's party now. And in the past, his record in Iowa has been about as wonderful as Bidenomics. So he's sitting it out. But it will be the first real test for the Republicans. Now, to quote the great Al Gore, you know, the guy who claims to have invented the internet and who believes that his life was the inspiration for the book and movie Love Story. Let me share with you an inconvenient truth. If you add up all the numbers for all the Republican candidates still in the race, not named Trump, their combined votes are still less than Donald Trump's. And by the way, I believe Al Gore invented the internet and inspired Love Story about as much as I invented toothpaste and was the inspiration for Elvis, okay? But that part about Donald Trump's overwhelming lead among Republicans, that is very real. This week, Nikki Haley got the endorsement and most likely bags of cash of a group of mostly libertarian billionaires led by the organization created and mostly funded by the Koch brothers. While any candidate, I don't care who they are, would love to get the infusion of cold cash that comes with such an endorsement, it might ultimately do more harm than good to Nikki's candidacy. Because the GOP is no longer the country club, silk-stocking, corner office party of cheese-nibbling, wine-sipping elites. No, it isn't. It's become far more catfish and cornbread than caviar and cocktails. It has. I'm glad. It has become the party of the working class who've seen their jobs sold off to Mexico and China and whose kids are more likely to become plumbers and welders than gender studies majors at Harvard and Yale. Thank goodness for that. A lot of the hatred toward Donald Trump is far beyond his abrasive personality and mean tweets. He actually has the audacity to call out the starched shirt sophisticates that once dominated the Republican ranks, and he brazenly appeals to working class construction workers and people who hunt and fish, but not just for recreation, but to put meat on the table. It's a party of those who are boldly pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, and proudly pro-American. The endorsement of the rabidly globalist wing of the Republican Party may bring some big bucks of the uber-wealthy, but it also brings the doubt and fears of those who truly believe that America is in a fight for her life against the push for open borders, corporate dominance over political policies, and devotion to DC donors instead of to small-town farmers, merchants, and small business owners. You know, the ones whose names are on the storefront and whose signatures are on the front of the paychecks of the employees. Anyone who becomes the darling of the ruling class, well, they're not likely to be the voter's choice when the clock to the nomination actually starts. Most of us know that the establishment in D.C. are the swells who show up at Georgetown parties, you know, the wine and cheese crowd. They've got little in common, even less to do with the working stiffs of the country who fix our cars, build or paint our houses, or who lift the heavy things that get shipped to us in boxes and then delivered by people who drive those trucks and vans working long hours to do it, especially this month. You know, many voters are fed up with the alphabet agencies of the federal government who've decided to only enforce the law against pro-life grandmothers or the moms of school-aged children who get branded as domestic terrorists because they showed up at a school board meeting and demanded to know if their own children are being urged to declare themselves to be girls when God made them to be boys. Sure, Donald Trump didn't grow up on a farm, and he didn't spend his summers in church camps. We'll be honest about that. But as president, he respected the farmers and the ranchers who put the food and the fiber on our tables and on our bodies. And he proved to be the most pro-life president in American history, but not just by what he said, but by what he did. And when other presidents, both Republican and Democrat, chickened out of moving the U.S. embassy to Jerusalem, Donald Trump boldly did it. And he ended up signing the historic Abraham Accords, which changed the entire alignment of the Middle East. So as we inch ever closer to actual votes being cast for the next president, keep your eyes on the candidates, but also keep your eyes on the people who are doing their best to purchase their own candidate who will not necessarily put America first and who will never be caught dead wearing some red hat that says, "Make America Great Again." But here's a question. Do you want your president to be like the guy that you'd like to work with at the job, or like the guy who laid you off? Hey, Mike Huckabee here. Listen, if you love your mom, apple pie, and being conservative, you know you ought to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and click the like button, and show all the leftists out there that conservatives are thriving and patriotism is far from dead. Am I pandering too much? No way. I'm just getting started.